All Our Rights in Law was a project to gather views from people around Scotland about proposals for a new human rights law. People's views were shared with the National Taskforce on Human Rights Leadership to help shape its recommendations. The task force published its own report in March 2021. A BSL summary of that is also available. The All Our Rights in Law project heard from around 430 people who took part in 35 community conversations over 4 months from October 2020. Conversations all took place online due to COVID-19 restrictions. What did people say? Across all conversations, people welcomed the idea of putting all of our human rights into Scots law. This was seen as a positive step. For example, people said, "This is about something bigger about our culture and who we are. Human rights is our North Star that drives a really positive culture across our nation of social justice." There is nothing that isn't good about having human rights in law. They weren't created to not be respected. They were created so people could have these rights and make the world a better place. However, across almost every conversation, people also spoke about their significant concern that this new law needs to be fully put into practice. People felt strongly that ensuring real improvements to their rights requires more than simply passing a new law. As one person said, "Don't create a human rights law that will sit on a shelf." What needs to happen to make a new human rights law effective? Participants spoke about a range of elements that they saw as crucial for making sure that a new human rights framework is effective. For some of these, we have shared direct quotes from what people said. Number 1. People need to know and understand their rights. People said, "How do people know if their rights have been breached if they do not know what they are?" People need to know what their rights are and how to use them. Number 2. The new law needs to have teeth. People said, "Enforcement, enforcement, enforcement. The law needs to be meaningful and enforceable. If the laws we already have worked, then we would not be having this conversation." Having rights in law is good, but it is hard to hold people or organisations to account. The process around claiming rights and accountability must get better. Number 3. Systemic change on human rights should not rely on individuals. People said, "The onus is put on individuals who are often living in crisis and experiencing rights abuses. The weight of responsibility is on the citizen. This should shift so the responsibility is on duty bearers to equalise this relationship." Number 4. In-depth advice should be available when you have a rights problem. People said, "Frame every engagement with the state in human rights so that when you go to the doctor, there is a sign that says, 'Here's your right to health. Here's what you can expect in relation to that right. Here's what you can do if that right's not realised.'" Number 5. Independent advocacy services should be available to all. Number 6. We need a human rights culture across public authorities. Number 7. Adequate resourcing is needed. Number 8. Voices of marginalised people should guide public decision making. People said, "How do we make sure that public bodies actually involve people in decision making and it's not just a tick box exercise?" The right to participate is crucial, and how do we make sure that it isn't just a sense that because they have consulted once, that is enough? Number 9. Mechanisms for public accountability should be built in. Number 10. Incorporation of specific rights for women, disabled people and on race. Number 11. Action is needed to address economic, social and cultural rights and the right to a healthy environment. Number 12. Action is needed to protect rights of particular groups. And number 13. Learning should be applied from experience of rights during COVID-19. What should happen next? Finally, participants also made recommendations for key next steps. They said that there should be a large public awareness campaign so that people know about any new law and their rights. And they said it was crucial that people with lived experience around everyday rights are involved in shaping a new act and how it's implemented. As one person said, "The law is a first step. The real work starts now to get it in place and implemented." Find out more at allourrightsinlaw.scot and follow the conversation on Twitter with the hashtag AllOurRightsInLaw.